That child is extremely talented. If he receives formal training, he will definitely have a bright future. The person in charge pointed at the child sitting next to the piano in front of him, and his eyes could not hide his admiration. Then he sighed. It's just that his family is ordinary. Not everyone can learn piano if they want to. I looked at the lonely and unruly figure in front of me. As if I saw the future through time and space, I was pulled down from the altar, became an abandoned child, and was abused and nailed to the pillar of shame by countless people, and he is the culprit. In my previous life, it was also today that I heard that this school had a very talented piano seedling. After coming here, I was attracted to Sube sitting on the piano. I heard that his family was ordinary, with an alcoholic father and a mother who was away from home all year round. Such a family will cause many problems, out of cherishing the genius. I pulled him out of the quagmire at all costs and solved all his worries for him, and I devoted all my life's learning to train him into a piano master. He participated in the national piano competition, won the grand prize, showed his talent, and began to go international. The media rated him as a future world piano superstar. For Sube's future, I became more and more strict with him, just to prepare him well for the next year's world piano competition. However, he fell in love with a female gangster, who took him to smoke, drink, and avoid piano practice. Although Sube is a piano genius, he does not work hard and only relies on the so-called heaven-given gift, just like a rootless duckweed, which will always dissipate. After Sube played many wrong notes in the competition, I realized the importance of the matter. I ordered him to break up with the girl, and even found the girl's parents. In the end, the girl got engaged and married in a hurry, and Sube finally gave up and returned his energy to the piano. I felt guilty about the girl, and when I went to find her, I found the truth. It turned out that the girl approached Sube for another purpose. It was Sube's competitor who wanted to destroy Sube, so he sent people to disturb Sube. It was a critical moment. I didn't want to disturb Sube's practice. I planned to let him participate in the world piano competition before talking to him on the day of the competition. Sube was far ahead with a huge advantage and won the first place. The people of the whole country were excited. Countless people interviewed me and said that I was the greatest piano coach in the country and brought glory to the country. Under the spotlight, Sube sneered, picked up a chair and smashed the piano, and threw away the gold medal that countless people desired. With thousands of eyes gathered, he pointed at me and said word by word, Cheng Yen. They all asked me to be grateful to you, but I will always hate you. The power of the champion is too great, especially a genius champion like Sube. In an instant, I was criticized and pulled down from the altar. The old woman ruined others and was actually a pedophile. It's disgusting. What kind of person is it? He actually broke up lovers to satisfy his own selfish desires. It's disgusting. I was called a pedophile, a master-apprentice incest, and a shame for a coach. Under all kinds of pressure, I stood on the rooftop. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the present. I pressed down my hand that was shaking slightly because of excitement. The person in charge beside me whispered, Coach Cheng, let's choose him. I looked at Sube, who was not far away. As if he had sensed something, he turned his head to look at me, and our eyes met. I was the first to look away. Let's choose him. Unexpectedly, I pointed to a boy in the corner. He was covered in wounds. His hearing aid fell to the ground, but his enthusiasm for piano could not be wiped out. If I remember correctly, he was Jian Sui, the one who won the second place in the piano competition even with hearing aids. At that time, I secretly sighed. If he was not disabled, how high would his musical attainments be? But it was a pity that such a person died in the best years of youth. If I could do it again, I might be able to save him. The person in charge took a breath. Jian Sui, he can't hear. Coach Chung, what is the most important thing about piano? I think you know better than me. The person in charge spoke loudly, and Jian Sui and Sube turned their heads to look at me at the same time. Sube's immature face was filled with anger. I was a little puzzled. Has he also been reborn? If he was reborn, he would definitely be happy to hear that I didn't choose him. So why would he be angry? I suppressed my puzzlement and walked towards Jian Sui. I squatted down, picked up his hearing aid, and put it on for him. His voice was not loud but firm. It doesn't matter if you can't hear. Piano achievements are not entirely based on talent or ears. Didn't Beethoven lose his hearing in his later years? Can you deny his unprecedented achievements? The person in charge sighed. You also said that it was Beethoven. There is only one Beethoven in the world. I shook my head and chuckled. Who can say that he is not the next Beethoven? After that, I spread my palms and asked with a smile, are you willing to learn piano with me? Jian Sui was stunned for a moment, and then nodded heavily. The moment we walked out, Sube chased after us, and he said in a wronged voice, what about me? I finally confirmed that he was also reborn, back to today. But I don't know what happened to make him change his attitude. But that has nothing to do with me. Jian Sui pulled me harder. I patted his hand, and said to Sube coldly, how you are, it has nothing to do with me. Then I left without looking back. After returning to the base, others knew that I brought back a hearing-impaired teenager, and they all laughed. Cheng Yen, you are also a piano master. How many people paid to learn from you? But you are not happy. Why choose a disabled person? What championship can he win? Recognize the piano. Cheng Yen, you are too proud and conceited. You can't do it. I smiled slightly, did not answer, and just held Jian Sui's hand tightly. Arrived in my own room. There is a piano. I patted Jian Sui on the back and signaled to him, try the feel of my piano and see if you like it. Jian Sui nodded obediently, then sat down and played a song, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's very simple, but it has a different taste under his hands. But there are still many shortcomings. I sat beside him and pointed out, that part is not enough, and this part is not accurate. Jian Sui did everything as he was told. That night I assigned him homework. Asking him to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star 100 times, he didn't doubt it, just nodded. I smiled with relief. In the previous life, I made the same request as Su Bei, but he frowned. Teacher, I am so talented. Why don't you teach me difficult songs? Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is so simple. I could play it when I was 5 years old. Play it 100 times. It's a waste of time. I have always believed that the foundation is the most important. Even an extremely simple song has its secrets. Even if Su Bei is a genius, those overly difficult songs are not suitable for him now. It's just that Jian Sui, I couldn't help but ask one more question. Don't you ask me why? He looked up. With stars in his eyes, what the teacher said must be good. I touched his hair. The teenage boy's features began to become clear, his hair hung on his forehead, and his eyes were full of infinite vigor and vitality. In the next few days, Jian Sui trained strictly according to my method, and his skills became more and more sophisticated. Even when I got up late at night, he was still working hard. The unique sound of the piano sounded, and Jian Sui's figure appeared in front of me. I slowly approached and yawned. Jian Sui, why are you still not asleep? Sleep is also very important. Don't overwork. The piano sound paused, and Jian Sui turned his head to look at me. Teacher, the group stage is about to begin. The base conducts an assessment every week, and a small prize is set up to motivate the students. Well, don't worry too much. It doesn't matter if you are not the first. Jian Sui shook his head. Teacher, I want to get the first place. I want that prize. I smiled. It's good to be motivated, but not excessive. I wanted to talk, but he took off his hearing aid first to block my voice. He is a donkey. Jian Sui trained harder and harder. Except for eating and going to the toilet, he almost sat by the piano, until one time, a colleague came to see me and saw Jian Sui playing the piano and sighed. No matter how hard you try, it's useless. You can't compare to the genius next door. He can already play Beethoven's Piano Concerto. He's only 15 years old and has a bright future. Do you know how happy Susiki is to have found this genius? I was a little sensitive when I heard the word genius. Who? My colleague swallowed his saliva. You don't know this, Su Bei. You're in the same school with your little deaf boy. How come you didn't find such a genius? Cheng Yan, don't you have the most ruthless eyes? Su Bei. I was stunned when I heard these two words. Is he here? He's still under Susiki's command. Susiki is my opponent. We are from the same school and should get along well, but she compares with me everywhere. Today I practiced for 3 hours, so she must practice for 4 hours. Later, the base spent a lot of money to invite me, and she came a few days later. I took Jian Sui away from school, and she must have gone too. When she saw Su Bei, she brought him back. I shook my head and smiled. What does this have to do with me? At this moment, a voice sounded outside the door. Senior sister. Senior sister, Susiki broke into the room with a teenager. The piano sound was played wrong, and it was out of control. I frowned and looked at Jian Sui. He stopped and turned his head to look at me, with some panic in his eyes. Susiki laughed sarcastically when she heard Jian Sui's piano sound. Senior sister, why is your vision so low? What is that? So many wrong notes. I played better than him when I was 5 years old. She pushed Su Bei in front of me again, and said proudly, I have a new apprentice. He is quite talented. Let him set an example for your apprentice. Su Bei walked towards the piano at her instruction. He sat down, and his slender index finger flew on the piano keys. The song played shocked everyone. It was Liszt's Memories of Don Juan. This age is really not suitable for this song. Susiki didn't speak for a long time, but I understood. In my previous life, I asked Su Bei to play this song countless times, but he always made mistakes. It was not until the world competition that he finally performed this song to perfection. I was also pushed to the top, and then fell in an instant. This song brought me only painful memories. I gritted my teeth and stared at Su Bei. He closed his eyes and indulged in the wonderful world woven by the piano. Despite some mistakes, he still played the song to the end. The moment Su Bei stopped, Susiki burst into a crazy laugh. Genius. An absolute genius. He will definitely be the best in the country in the future. No, the best in the world. I am Susiki's apprentice. I looked at Su Bei, and he also turned back and stared at me, then stood up and walked in front of me. In front of everyone, he stretched out his hand and begged humbly, Master, I can play it now. Can you please not abandon me? Susiki pulled Su Bei over. Master is here. You made a mistake. The voice was slightly unhappy. I walked up to Jian Sui, put my hands on his shoulders, and agreed. It's true that I called him the wrong name. I'm not your master. Never have been. I only have one apprentice. His name is Jian Sui. Su Bei's long eyelashes drooped, and he looked lonely. Susiki sneered and took Su Bei away. That afternoon, I went out to buy food but was stopped by Su Bei. There was no brokenness as in the morning, and his face was full of firm confidence. Master, admit it. You care about me. You chose Jian Sui to piss me off. I admit that you did it. As long as you accept me as your apprentice again and give up Jian Sui, I will come back to you, I will win the world award for you and become your pride. I was amused by his shameless remarks. Su Bei, do you know how disgusting you are now? You don't think you are invincible just because you have won the first place. There are first places every year, but you don't win every year. After speaking, I said no more, bumped his shoulder and left. He shouted behind me. You will regret it. I regretted it a long time ago. I regretted taking him as my apprentice. Back in the training room, Jian Sui was playing the piano again, and I called him to eat. The piano sounded passionately, but he turned a deaf ear. I patiently called a few more times, only to find that he was not wearing a hearing aid. I patted his back, but the piano sound did not stop, but became more urgent. After the song ended, he put on his hearing aid and said, "First, Master, Su Bei is a genius. I am just a." Before he finished speaking, he touched the worn-out hearing aid beside his ear with a trembling hand. The sky was overcast, and the light pouring on the boy was taken back by stinginess. He retreated into the darkness. Then I heard a voice from his throat. "If you regret it, it's not too late." He heard it. I admit that part of the reason for choosing Jian Sui was to anger Su Bei, but more out of pity for him. I don't want him to die early like in his previous life. I hope he will move forward. I shook my head. Jian Sui, I never regret it. You are my apprentice. One day, one life. Don't say such things in the future. The young man raised his head suddenly, his eyes slightly red. I touched his head, and then looked at the worn-out hearing aid beside his ear, which seemed to have been there for many years. Subconsciously, I reached out to touch it. "I'll change a hearing aid for you. It will be better." Jian Sui never resisted my touch, but this time, he turned his head away. "No, master. This one is very good." I didn't say anything more. Maybe, this hearing aid has a special meaning to him. After a few days of training, the assessment arrived soon. I was not surprised to see Su Bei at the scene, even though he had only been here for a few days. He should have participated in the next group assessment, but Su Siki was a show-off. In order to prove Su Bei's value and to suppress me, he participated. When Jian Sui went on stage, I patiently tidied his clothes and checked his hearing aids, then nodded to him. "Jian Sui, don't be nervous. It doesn't matter if you are not the first. You are great." Jian Sui did not answer. During this period, the ridicule in the base and the pressure of Su Bei's genius were all overwhelming. He was eager to win glory for me and to clear his name. But, Su Bei was the world champion in his previous life after all. A Rachmaninoff's prelude in C-sharp minor sounded, and the surroundings fell into silence. The timbre of this song is handled very well, and many art exam candidates did not handle it as well as he did. I can feel Jian Sui's nervousness. After the song, Su Bei glanced at me casually, smiled at me, and then bowed like a king and left the stage. Even in the face of such great pressure, Jian Sui handled the song very well. "Just, the first place in this assessment is, Su Bei." It was an expected answer. The song I chose for Jian Sui was suitable for his current stage. It was not as difficult as Su Bei, so Su Bei was naturally the first. It doesn't matter. Jian Sui, we still have a chance. If we pass the final assessment, we can participate in the provincial level. The voices rang out at the same time. "Su Bei will represent our base in the provincial piano competition." I looked up at the center of the stage, a little surprised. Su Siki walked over with Su Bei, with a somewhat cheerful tone. "Sister, you didn't expect it." I suggested to the leader that this assessment should also decide who will participate in the provincial competition. In fact, Su Bei was directly selected, and this time it was just a formality. "Sister, you can't beat me, forever." How could this happen? I immediately ran to the leader's office to argue. The quota for participating in the provincial competition has always been based on the average results of the final assessment and usual training. What can this competition tell us? I came to this base because I saw the fairness and non-discrimination here. Are you also following the trend? Do you know how many people will be disappointed by your behavior? The leader said in an orderly manner. Cheng Nian, I know you feel sorry for your apprentice. As for yourself, Su Bei's strength is there. Do you still need to follow the general rules? Even if there are 10 competitions, it is not certain that anyone can surpass him. Geniuses always have exceptions and preferences. This is the right given to them by God. I was speechless. Some people are born in Rome and can get everything by waving their hands at will. Their starting point is the end point of others, and suffering seems to avoid them. It seems that everyone likes to bully the weak. Even suffering is no exception. I left in embarrassment. Jian Sui was standing in front of me waiting for me. I suddenly lost some courage to face him, and I lifted my foot with a heavy weight. The young man came against the light, opened his palm, and it was a piano-shaped hairpin. "Master, this is what I won, and I give it to you as a return gift." My throat was instantly dry. I remember that the prize for the second place was not this, also. Why is it a return gift? I have never given you anything. He touched his head, a little shy. Well, I changed with the third place, and the master is also a girl. Girls like beautiful things, and I want to give it to the master. I said wrong. It's not a return gift. I hugged him tightly. Jian Sui, I'm sorry. A gentle and even force came from behind, and Jian Sui patted my back. Master, you have never let me down. Since it was decided that Sube was the person participating in the provincial competition, the myth that he is a genius has become more and more intense. Coupled with Susiki's deliberate packaging, the two words, Sube, became popular all over the internet. The piano prelude sounded, and the comments were overwhelming. "Oh my god, can a teenager play this? It's better than me who has played the piano for 20 years, my parents may want a child like him. An absolute genius with absolute strength, he not only plays well, but also looks good. Brother, stop playing the piano, play me." In contrast, the video of Jian Sui's competition was exposed, and the picture deliberately stayed on his hearing aid. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. He plays well, but it's a pity that he has poor ears and won't achieve much in the future. Change his career, he is not suitable for music. Are you kidding? If you have poor ears when playing the piano, what's the difference between that and a blind man flying a plane? Is it necessary to waste teachers on impossible people? I blocked all sounds and taught Jian Sui to practice well, for fear that the outside world would hit him. Day after day, his piano skills became more and more proficient, and I gradually discovered that Jian Sui's talent in piano also existed, but it was buried. On the other hand, I often see Susiki's updated moments. He takes Sube to travel around, eat delicious food today, and travel tomorrow. When I passed by Susiki's office, there was no sound of piano for a long time. She packaged Sube as a genius who didn't need to practice at all. In the face of doubts, she only said lightly, "At this level, Sube needs to empty himself. He has reached the peak of piano skills. To be honest, we don't take the provincial competition seriously." I shook my head and said nothing. Opinions are contradictory. I firmly believe that only day-to-day practice is the brick and stone paving the way to success. Even Sube, I didn't treat him as an exception in the last life. He still needs to practice. Even more than the same group, I don't want to waste his talent and want to bring it to the extreme. Unfortunately, I used the wrong person. Fortunately, I didn't do it in this life. Sube didn't participate in the subsequent assessments, and Jian Sui won the first place every time he participated. When everyone is looking up at the sun, the moon comes quietly, and will shine brightly at some point when night falls. Everything should have gone smoothly, until I found something different. Usually after basic practice, Jian Sui would practice more, and sometimes he would stop only when I stopped him forcefully. But recently, after completing basic practice, he was no longer seen in the piano room. He has been like this for several days. Once again, I didn't see him. I frowned and said nothing. A voice suddenly sounded beside me. "Cheng Yan." Sube leaned against the wall and looked at me. After not seeing him for a few months, the boy had grown a lot taller, his slightly long hair hung down, and his voice was a little magnetic. Looking for Jian Sui, I didn't plan to talk to him, and I was about to leave. But he trapped me in the corner. "Don't you really want to talk to me?" Yes. Our eyes met, and I was calm. "Master, I know I was wrong in my previous life. I shouldn't have distrusted you and treated you like that. After you died, I found that girl and finally knew the truth. She approached me to destroy me. I am sorry for you, but, aren't you wrong?" He suddenly changed the subject and raised his voice slightly. "The boring practice day after day is unbearable for anyone. And you are my only hope, but how can you abandon me, Master? I heard you and that person say you want to go on a blind date and get married. What should I do if you get married?" At first, I looked down on that girl. I did that to piss you off, but in the subsequent contact, I found that her appearance brought a lot of new and strange things that I had never come into contact with and that I longed for. I gradually fell in love with her. I just made a mistake that everyone would make, Master. Cheng Yan. Mian, I almost roared. Shut up. It was the first time I realized that Sube's feelings for me were so twisted. I still remember that marriage. My colleague was tired of being urged to get married, so she asked me about my plans. She was my neighbor's daughter, and I was afraid she would tell my mother. So I deliberately said that I was going to a blind date and had plans to get married in the near future. It turned out to be that time. I thought it was a little ridiculous. Sube. I, Cheng Yan, am open and honest, but you are the one who has that kind of relationship, and you are so dirty. It's a mistake that everyone makes. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Try your best to cover up your mistakes in darkness. I'll tell you now, there is one person who won't dash. I was interrupted by him before I finished speaking. Jian Sui, right? He laughed softly. Master, why are you so naive? Haven't you thought about why I came? Do you think your deaf man is really a good person? He is 100 times worse and dirtier than me. If you don't believe it, go to the restaurant on Ping'an Road. There are surprises waiting for you there. He was so sure that I felt a little panic in my heart for no reason, but I still pretended to be calm and drove him away. A Jian Sui. I believe you. Along the way, I silently repeated this sentence thousands of times. Until I saw Jian Sui in person, I froze in place. He sat on the piano in the middle of the hall in a tuxedo. And cheerful songs were played one after another. I frowned. Why did he come here? Until, after everything was over, I saw him change his clothes, and a girl stood next to him. The girl said something, and he immediately turned his head anxiously, and the girl smiled playfully where he couldn't see. After seeing the girl's face clearly, I felt like I was doused by a basin of cold water. It was not someone else. It was the female gangster who was with Sube in the previous life. She was wearing a waitress's clothes, and her arrogant yellow hair was the same as before. Did Jiansui come here for her? I staggered out, and a gust of wind blew, and I suddenly started coughing. I bent over until I coughed until tears streamed down my face. And then I leaned against the corner of the wall as if I was exhausted. I couldn't help but murmur, am I really like this? Failure? Start over again? Different people? Same result? Even if I experienced failure in the last life. I firmly believe that I am not wrong. If one person scolds me, it is one person who is wrong. If 10,000 people scold me, it is 10,000 people who are wrong, but now I am confused. Because those 10,000 people are strangers, I don't care how they evaluate me. But one Jiansui and one Subei are better than thousands of casual friends. Heart-piercing pain, the wind blew, mixed with tears, stirring up a chill. I looked up, and the stars disappeared without a trace. Leaving only a bright moon, I returned to the base step by step, turned off all the lights, and let the darkness swallow me. I don't know how long it took, and there was a snap. The light was dazzling, and I subconsciously reached out to block it. Master, why don't you turn on the light? A pleasant and steady voice sounded. I realized that Jiansui's voice had also changed quietly. It used to be a bit immature, but now it was deep and sophisticated, which was too inconsistent with his age. What was consistent was the hormone secretion of boys and girls, and the collision of two hearts. Moving my eyes upward, I saw the brand new hearing aid in Jiansui's ear. Why did you change it? Who gave it to you? He touched it, eh? He seemed to be looking for words to describe it. That's right, using a friend is too unfamiliar, and using other words is too intimate. I opened my mouth, but said nothing. I stood up and was about to leave. When I passed by Jiansui, I couldn't help but said, Jiansui, you seem to be very busy recently. If you have anything, tell the master may not refuse, the last time, but I don't have anything to do, master. I nodded, prepare well and strive to participate in the provincial competition next year. When it was a very ordinary day to see the girl again, she actually appeared at the base. I'm not sure if Jiansui informed the guard. I only saw her give Jiansui a worn-out hearing aid, and she couldn't help complaining. This broken thing is not as good as the new one I gave you. Jiansui accepted it, and urged her to leave as if afraid of being discovered. She shouted, Jiansui, don't be so stingy, take me around, we have such a good relationship. Someone is coming, Jiansui. Jiansui immediately turned his head and saw that it was me, and was a little flustered. I walked over and shouted, Jiansui, he hummed. The girl next to him seemed to have discovered a new world. Oh my god, this is your master. He looks pretty good, no wonder you dash, Xieshan. Jiansui couldn't stand it anymore and interrupted immediately. Let's go. The girl pouted and left. 1 inch the piano room. Jiansui stood in front of me. Master, why don't you dare tell me? Are you afraid that I will break you up? Master, I didn't. Jiansui, is master such a person in your heart? You won't even tell the truth? Play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star 100 times. After saying that, I got up and left. The song we first met has now become a punishment. Jiansui stopped talking and sat on the piano to play it over and over again, after playing it 100 times. He came to me and said with a bit of pleading, Master, I'm done, I was wrong. I ignored him and got up and left. I don't blame Jiansui, but I don't know how to face him. For several days, I ignored him, but I still secretly observed him practicing. I know that he played a difficult song today. I know that he didn't eat today, I know, until, why is it this song? Like a thief. I leaned against the wall and listened to the song, Happy Birthday, next door. Why did Jiansui play this song? Today is not his birthday. There was a moment of silence, and I didn't notice that the piano stopped playing, and Jiansui came out, so, I put my face against the wall and looked at him. Ahem. I quickly moved away, trying to find something to say. It's a nice day today. But I saw a cake with candles in his hand. He said, Happy birthday, master. I was stunned. Is today my birthday? I forgot it myself. The sea salt cake was decorated with a few chocolate bars. He brought it to me and took out a carefully wrapped box. Master, a gift. I opened the box and found a pearl necklace inside. The big, plump pearls appeared in front of me, and I had only one thought in my mind. Where did you get the money? I couldn't help but say it out. Master, the relationship between me and the girl before is not what you think. She bumped into me and my hearing aid was broken. She said it could be repaired later. She bought me a new hearing aid for emergency use, after the old one was repaired. I returned the new one to her. As for where I got the money, I earned it working in a restaurant on Hepping Road. Master, I promise you, there won't be a next time. I blurted out. The restaurant violated the law on the protection of minors. He couldn't help but laughed. I laughed too, and cried while laughing. The index finger gently rubbed my cheek, and Jiansui's voice tightened. Master, don't cry. At this moment, I only had one thought, Jiansui, he is different. The provincial competition is coming soon. In order to let Jiansui see it, we also went to the scene. Jiansui, you can adapt to the competition first. And wait until next year when we sign up for the national competition. As soon as the voice fell, as the broadcast on the field, we were all attracted by Subei's name. Subei played lists of the bells. This is also a piano piece with a very high degree of difficulty. And most contestants will not choose it, but Sube and Susiki will. It's just, I shook my head. It's not good enough. I listened carefully. This part was not handled well, and that part was not quite appropriate. After not practicing for a long time, Sube's piano skills have declined. Not as good as before, but for him, it is more than enough to win a provincial championship. If I were them, I would immediately reflect on myself, adjust the rhythm, and practice more, but I am not them. So when Sube won the first place that day, Susiki became even more proud, and she boasted to the reporters, Sube is very powerful, and everyone in our base knows that he can win the first place without practicing. You said the future plan? This is just the beginning? He will win many first places? And he will win the first place in the country and the world. No, if this continues, Sube will definitely be finished. But, it has nothing to do with me, I just passed by with Jian Sui. Outside the noisy crowd, there is another world. Sube was surrounded by flowers and applause, and those empty words had a basis and were unscrupulously promoted and magnified. Everyone accepted it all, even exaggerated it. Jian Sui and I worked hard in secret to prepare for the national piano competition next year. One time flies, and it passes in the blink of an eye. The branches are lush and the leaves are bright, and it is another midsummer. I was not surprised to see Jian Sui's name on the semifinals. He is also the only teenager who entered the national competition wearing hearing aids. His reputation on the internet has also improved. He actually made it to the semifinals. The person I least expected was him. He is so amazing. My favorite is Genius Sube. Next up is him, but some people are not optimistic. He's done. I bet he'll be eliminated in the next round. Everyone's destination is the top of the mountain. But some people think Jian Sui's destination is halfway up the mountain. Is it just because he has bad ears? Such prejudices, we have to break them. On the day of the finals, countless people waited at the door to see the genius star. Some people even asked Sube to take a photo with them and asked for his autograph. At that time, Jian Sui and I had already arrived backstage. Jian Sui took the lead, and after giving him instructions, Sube finally finished his work and came backstage. He looked at me lazily. Do you regret it, Cheng Yan? Do you want me to sign one for you? I mercilessly said, are you selling regret medicine? Every time you meet, you ask others if they regret it. Sube, if you have this time, you might as well prepare your piano music well. He smiled. Others may not know how good I am, but you must know, psychopath. Don't argue with idiots. He wanted to talk, but was attracted by the piano music. It was Jian Sui. The sound of the piano seemed to have the magic to penetrate everything, and we were its devout believers. Time passed slowly, and the corners of my mouth rose unconsciously. Jian Sui, he played very well, so well that Sube's face suddenly changed. He murmured, impossible, how could he play so well? He is a deaf person, how is it possible? He never regarded Jian Sui as a competitor, but it was such a Jian Sui who he looked down on, who surpassed him at an astonishing growth rate. Forcing him to face up to him, after Jian Sui left the stage, he hugged me immediately. Master, I did it. His hot body temperature came through the thin clothes, and I suddenly felt a little awkward. I gently pushed him away and handed him a clean paper. Well, I saw it. Wipe the sweat off your face. He nodded. Then, we enjoyed Sube's piano music together. Sube chose another song with a very high degree of difficulty, as if only this could prove his strength. What a pity, in the past. The music score was in his pocket and he was a subordinate, but now, he was out of reach. He played it wrong more than once, and even forgot the score. He panicked. What followed was an uncontrollable chaos. Sube will face his first failure in his life, off the court. Reporters surrounded Sube and Susiki. Excuse me, what is the reason for Sube's mistakes today? Is he a genius so he doesn't practice? Excuse me, how does Sube feel about being surpassed by Jian Sui? Have you thought about this result? Excuse me, Sube, what are your plans next? The situation is completely reversed from before. Jian Sui and I were also surrounded. Excuse me, what do you think of winning the championship in this competition? Excuse me, Cheng Yan, why did you choose Jian Sui instead of Sube? Excuse me, Jian Sui, what are your plans next? I don't know when. The boy has become a head taller than me, with strong muscles. He held me firmly in his arms, pushed through the crowd, and got on the bus. I looked at him and felt like I had a backer. 1 in the evening, Jian Sui and I celebrated. I planned the future with him while eating. You are the first in the country now, but you can't be proud. You have to be the first in the world in the future. Similarly, you can't slack off in practice. You still have to practice basic skills every day. He nodded and picked up some food for me. In the smoke rising from the hot pot, a pair of hands with distinct joints loomed. I swallowed unconsciously. I suddenly remembered the novel that my colleague showed me a while ago. I remember that those blushing words seemed to describe such a pair of hands. I was caught off guard and started coughing. The hands immediately flashed before my eyes. One patted my back, and the other handed me a cup of tea. I didn't hold it firmly. And a few drops of tea spilled into my palm. Damn, I coughed even more violently. Master, master. I pushed Jian Sui away, and I felt better only after the hands disappeared from my sight. I'm fine. That night, I got up suddenly and suddenly saw a figure in front of me. I shouted, Jian Sui. He hummed, his voice a little hoarse. I asked with concern, what's wrong with your throat? Is the hot pot tonight too spicy? You? I suddenly stopped and saw the desire in Jian Sui's eyes. Master. The hands climbed up my arms with a burning temperature. I shook my head. No, Jian Sui, no. I opened my eyes again and breathed heavily. Master. The voice came from near to far. Jian Sui walked in front of me. The scene just now was still vivid in my mind. I felt guilty and annoyed at the same time. How could I have such a dream? I pretended to be calm. Why are you here so late at night? Jian Sui had no place to live. I usually lived in an apartment in the base, and there was also a piano room. So I let him live with me. Jian Sui raised the water cup in his hand. I'm a little thirsty, get up and drink some water. But master, I just seem to hear you calling my name and shouting no. What dream did you have? My hands tightly grasped the quilt. I dreamed that you were naughty and didn't listen to the master's words. I didn't want to practice the piano, so I said a no. Yes, that's it. He nodded as if he suddenly realized something, and chuckled again. I will not disobey the master's words, forever. One after what happened that night, every time I saw Jian Sui, strange emotions spread, and I avoided him intentionally or unintentionally. Jian Sui seemed to realize this, so after get off work one day, he stopped me on the road. Master. Why are you avoiding me recently? Is there something I didn't do well? I shook my head. I'm not avoiding you, master. You know you're not good at lying. Before the last word fell, a female voice interrupted. Jian Sui. I saw Jian Sui's eyes sink, turned his head, and saw a face that looked 70% like Jian Sui. In an instant, I had the answer. It was Jian Sui's mother. The woman was wearing a blue dress, and her earrings were shining in the sun. She smiled at me. Is it Teacher Chang? I finally see the real person. I haven't been with Jian Sui for some things in the past few years. Thanks to you. Isn't Jian Sui an orphan? Whether in the last life or this life, Jian Sui is an orphan in my memory. Does he have a mother? Then why has she never appeared? I suppressed the doubts in my heart and smiled in the same way. You're welcome, Jian Sui's mother. But why have I never seen you before? She was stunned for a moment and said, something's delayed it before. When Ajui was a child, she didn't finish her words and was stopped by Jian Sui, who rushed over. I have never seen Jian Sui like this. He looked like a wild beast, with red eyes and veins on his neck. He roared and pushed the woman in front of him. Go, go. I was startled and was about to stop him, but Jian Sui turned his head and looked at me, like a broken porcelain. Master. His voice was a little choked. I stepped forward and stood in front of Jian Sui. Madam, you didn't show up before. And now you suddenly show up after Jian Sui won the award, which makes me suspicious. I'm sorry. I learned that Jian Sui is an orphan, so, please leave. The woman showed some disbelief and pointed at herself. Teacher Chang, can't you see that Jian Sui and I look so similar, and this is a matter between us mother and son? You seem to have crossed the line, right? I didn't move an inch. I'm sorry. I only know that he is my apprentice, the only apprentice, and he told me that he has no mother. If you don't leave, I'll call the security guard. The woman's face was distorted, and she glared at me for a few times before leaving unwillingly. After she left, I breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look at Jian Sui behind me. He lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. I took a step forward, hugged him, and said firmly, Jian Sui, no one can force you. The master will always protect you. Jian Sui looked up, and in an instant, a tear ran across his cheek and fell on my shoulder. I thought the appearance of this woman was just an episode. I didn't expect that she would appear frequently since then. And even took a paternity test to prove it. I have nothing to say about this. She often took videos outside the piano room and captioned, my champion son. She would also bring food to Jian Sui, and the food piled up on the piano, and she still enjoyed it. The most serious one, I said. I don't have any idea about this now. No brand is allowed. I was a little annoyed. Since Jian Sui won the championship, many endorsements came to him and offered high prices. But I didn't want Jian Sui to be disturbed by other things. I wanted him to practice piano wholeheartedly, so I always refused. But the manufacturer doesn't care about this. They only see the huge commercial value of Jian Sui. I am a little tired of being disturbed again and again. This time, it's different from the past. Jian Sui's mother heard the high remuneration and was moved. Teacher Chang, why did you refuse? So much money. Just take a few photos and record a video. Ordinary people may not make so much money in their lifetime. Learning piano and winning the championship is important, but making money is equally important. Looking at the greed in her eyes, I felt a little disgusted. People with different ideas cannot work together. Taking an advertisement now will only disturb Jian Sui. If you are willing, go shoot it yourself and don't bring my apprentice with you. I will only say this once. I will not agree, and Jian Sui will not agree even more. After being rejected by Jian Sui, she finally gave up the idea. I thought she was a mother, but I forgot that some people are not worthy of this identity. Too, when I was scolded on the hot search, I was listening to Jian Sui playing the piano. Cheng Yan, Cheng Yan. A colleague rushed in. Something bad has happened. She held up her mobile phone and a video came into view. In the video, Jian Sui's mother cried to the camera. I don't know why she wanted to stop us from recognizing each other as mother and son. Now I know that she actually had such thoughts about my son and was afraid that I would snatch my son away. As a teacher, how could she be so dirty? I can only expose her evil deeds in this way. I hope everyone can pay attention to this matter. More videos were discovered. The day Jian Sui's mother came, I held Jian Sui in my arms. The day we ate hot pot, the way I looked at his hands, and some videos that were maliciously deleted, the comments section scolded me to pieces. I only saw 3 words, pedophile, with a buzz. My mind went blank. It seemed that I had returned to that dark time. The moral shackles forced me to submit, and countless people accused me, pedophile, so disgusting. Can she do it to such a young child? Some people are not worthy of being teachers. Cheng Nian actually likes Su Bei, who is her apprentice, equivalent to a child. A mother likes her own child. One crime after another was imposed on me. I was sent to hell and will never be reborn. Master, master. The anxious voice brought my thoughts back. Looking at the clear-cut Jian Sui in front of me, my heart sank even more. In my previous life, I could say with a clear conscience. What about this life? I feel guilty, master. Don't worry, don't listen to what they say. He stood up and was about to leave. I held him back. Jian Sui, sit down, he shouted. Master, sit down. Otherwise, I will not be your master in the future. He sat down unwillingly. Play the piano. Practice. Prepare for the world competition. Don't worry about anything else. His voice trembled at the end. Master, do as I say. Now is the critical moment. I can't ruin Jian Sui because of myself. He should go to the top of the mountain to look down. He should go all the way up, and I am a little overwhelmed. Jian Sui's level has long surpassed me. I can only catch up with him. It doesn't matter if I can't catch up. He is fine, too, as things continue to ferment. My reputation is getting worse and worse. Even the people in the base look at me with some strange eyes. I have long expected the request made by Jian Sui. Master, I plan to let my mother accompany me to the World Championship. I nodded in agreement. It's okay, I will only embarrass him if I do this now. Master, can you please not come, please? I looked up suddenly and looked at Jian Sui. He lowered his eyes. His eyelashes cast a shadow, and I couldn't see his eyes clearly. Will he be deprived of such a right? I was speechless and nodded after a long time. No, the moment I agreed, Jian Sui left. When I woke up the next day, I didn't see him. He moved out, and everything about him disappeared from the house. The World Championship is coming soon. He should have gone far away. I held a glass of milk, drank it slowly, and sat there in a daze, until my body began to itch. I realized, I am allergic to milk. How could I forget it? Coincidentally, at this moment, there was a sound at the door. My eyes suddenly lit up and my heart began to beat wildly. Until I saw the person coming, my heart dropped again. It was Su Bei. What are you doing here? He slowly approached, squatted down to admire my appearance, and gently stroked my cheek with the back of his hand. Master, how did you get yourself into this state? Now you know who loves you the most, right? I've said it before, Jian Sui is a million times worse than me. I pushed him away with all my strength. He is a million times better than you. Get out of here. Stay away from me. My wrist was lightly grabbed by him, and he suddenly took out an injection from behind and stabbed my arm. Master, take a nap first. My consciousness gradually became chaotic. When I woke up again, I was on the plane, feeling weak all over. A hand beside me covered me with a blanket. Master, are you awake? Where are you taking me? To the place that Master wants to go the most. To the person that Master wants to see the most. Master. Only when you see with your own eyes how Jian Sui shines under the spotlight, and how he abandons you, you will know how good I am. I tilted my head and looked at him. You did all this, right? I started to wonder when that girl appeared. You are obviously more dazzling. Jian Sui is unknown, and even his ears are not very good. Why did you send that girl to approach Jian Sui? Then Jian Sui's mother appeared. She hadn't been seen for such a long time, but she appeared recently. It was too coincidental, until you appeared. All this had a reasonable explanation. You know that Xie Shan, so you found her and let her destroy Jian Sui, and then found Jian Sui's mother. Even the pedophilia thing was exposed by you, right, Su Bei? Su Bei stroked his chin and listened to me patiently. After speaking, he hooked my nose. So smart. My. Nian, if it weren't for Xie Shan, how could we have missed each other in the last life? I will take revenge on her in this life. I will get close to her, catch her handle, and threaten her to get close to Jian Sui. That idiot. He can't even handle such a small matter. Do you know? She was almost killed by Jian Sui. He looked at my puzzled expression and sneered. Your apprentice is not a good sheep, but a wolf cub. Xie Shan deliberately knocked off his hearing aid, and he didn't know what was so important about that junk. He went crazy and strangled Xie Shan. If Xie Shan hadn't said that it could be repaired, Xie Shan was almost strangled to death by him. I looked at him coldly. You are talking nonsense. He shook his head and laughed. You know whether it is nonsense or not, later. I found Jian Sui's mother. That woman is not a good person, she is only interested in profit. In fact, I don't want to do this to you, this is just a last resort. If you didn't have a disagreement with her, how could she want to destroy you? In a way, she is quite similar to Jian Sui, same. Cruel. My pupils shrank slightly, and it was difficult to connect the Jian Sui he mentioned with the one I imagined. And Jian Sui's mother, what happened between her and Jian Sui? Sube took me to live in a villa, he fed me medicine regularly, which made me feel sore and weak. The international competition is tomorrow. I didn't sleep all night. I am about to see Jian Sui, and I feel a little nervous and uneasy. Sorry, Jian Sui. I broke my promise. The competition that day, Sube took me to sit in the audience, as if it had been prepared long ago. Our seats were quite near the front, until Jian Sui came on stage. The only beam of light hit him. He was wearing a suit and still had that worn-out hearing aid on his ear. My boy, after being polished by time, he was no longer the same as he was back then. He walked to the piano seat and sat down. As his fingers rose and fell, the piano sounded. He closed his eyes and was intoxicated. The whole audience was also intoxicated. I smiled. Sube, you will never be as good as him, forever. He had already struggled out of the darkness and crawled under the sunshine. From now on, there will only be a long way to go, fame and fame. Nothing can stop it. He is spring. Sube had a gloomy face and smiled after a moment. Master, it doesn't matter. I still have you to accompany me to sink into the darkness, even if he climbs to the top. There will be no you. You are sacrificed by him. Looking at the stage, the piano music ended. Jian Sui stopped, amidst the thunderous applause. I whispered, I am happy with it. Jian Sui won the world award and took the crown. His mother walked down in an expensive haute couture dress. Yes. I am Jian Sui's mother. I am very happy that Jian Sui is where he is today. I hope he will get better and better in the future. Turning his eyes to Jian Sui, he stood in the center, holding a microphone. I am guilty, he spoke, and the whole audience was in an uproar. So was I. He spoke again, and the whole audience was silent. As far back as I can remember, I have been sitting on the piano and practicing non-stop. My teacher praised me for my extraordinary talent. And my mother was proud of me. Despite constant practice, I still had no complaints, because I loved the piano. I was born for it, and I lived for it. Later, I participated in competitions, won places, and gradually won first place. My mother was very good to me, but later, one time, I had a fever. That day, no one was at home. I had a high fever of 41 degrees, and my mother never showed up. After she came back and took me to the hospital, I realized that I couldn't hear. I can't forget the surprised look in my mother's eyes that day. She looked at me without any pity or self-blame, only disgust. I am no longer a genius. I can no longer bring her pride, and I may even embarrass her. So, she walked away and abandoned me. For countless days and nights, I waited for my mother's embrace, but all I got was nothing. For me, that period of time was worse than death. I hated the piano to the point of disgust. I wanted to smash all the pianos in the world and tear up all the music scores. I thought I would die like this, like a dim and dying star. But later, I met someone. She smiled brightly, picked up me who was thrown in the dust. She bought me hearing aids and rekindled my hope for life. Later, I finally became her apprentice as I wished. She said I was the next Beethoven. She helped me rekindle my love for the piano. Later, I realized that I didn't hate the piano, but I hated myself covered in mud. I won the big prize and participated in international competitions, all for her. Because from the moment she took me in, my love became all for her. The dim planets did not die, but revolved around the luminous and hot stars, never stopping. I am guilty. I fell in love with my master and regarded her as my lifelong pursuit and the meaning of survival. She was never dirty and disgusting. She was upright and glorious, and I was trying to climb up to her, off stage. I cried so hard that even his figure blurred and condensed into halos. It turned out that this was him. It turned out that I had met him a long time ago. It turned out that he was so miserable, watching his talent being deprived bit by bit. The feeling of powerlessness was unimaginable to me. What a dark time he went through. It turns out, he refused to discard the hearing aid because I gave it to him. He didn't let me come because he was afraid that I would embarrass him, but because he wanted to expose his scars in a nearly suicidal way and explain for me. He knew the attention this game would bring, so he even abandoned himself just to clear my name. Jian Sui, you shouldn't. Is it worth it? Jian Sui's words caused an uproar. The evil deeds done by Jian Sui's mother were dug up and she was criticized by the whole network. She couldn't bear the pressure and also gave Sube out. And I was looking at Jian Sui at this moment. Jian Sui's eyes were full of panic. Master, why did you come anyway? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you still saw me in such a miserable state. I shook my head. Jian Sui, you're very good. I've said you're very good since the first time I met you. The media rated him as a future world piano superstar. No, so much so that I just realized it now. Extra. Today is the day when Sube participates in the national competition. I was delayed by some things and just got in the car now. The driver changed direction not long after the car started. I asked anxiously, what's wrong, master? Can you hurry up? I'm in a hurry. The driver sighed. Girl, it's not that I don't want to hurry up. There was a car accident ahead. Someone died. And the road ahead is blocked, now we have to take another road. I glanced at the time and nodded, okay, thank you for your help. The news was playing the car accident. I casually glanced at the name on it, Jian Sui. He was happy when Jian Sui died. He had a stomachache on the day when Cheng Mian was selected in the school and missed it, a lifelong regret. So when he later learned that someone wanted to kill Cheng Mian in order to destroy Su Bei, he panicked. He couldn't think of any solution in a short time. There was only one way, one life for another, but it was worth it.